Hello, everyone. My name is Jerry Rothkoff. I'm managing attorney of Rothkoff Law Group, an elder care law firm located in both South Jersey and Eastern Pennsylvania. We work with seniors and those who love them. And today, in our continuing Who's Who of Elder Care Advocacy in the Philadelphia metro region, we are pleased to have Amy Keiper-Shaw, who is a geriatric social worker or social worker, licensed social worker, as well as and she is now the director of social services at Pennswood Village, as well as a president, CEO, executive director of a nonprofit called Hands Holding Hearts. And she'll be telling you a little about the charity and what the charity does and what type of individuals the charity benefits. So for Amy, first of all, welcome to our continuing Zoom series on Who's Who of Elder Care Advocacy in the Philadelphia metro region. Pleasure having you, and thank you for donating your valuable time today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's get started. Let's talk about your current position. So you're at Pennswood Village now. Could you tell our audience a little about Pennswood Village and maybe a little bit about your background?
Sure. So Pennswood Village is a CCRC here in Bucks County, and we have independent apartments, we have personal care, we have skilled care, hospice, our own home care agency, and I head up the resident life department, which is a combination of social work, fitness, and our cognitive well-being program. So so I help to educate our community about dementia and about well-being and how the mind and body are connected. Also started a program with a lot of local organizations called Dementia Friendly Newtown. And our goal with that is to, again, educate the community about dementia. We know that the older population is growing and people are living longer. So we're going to see people living out in their homes and out in their apartments for longer, and they're going to be in businesses. And so our goal is to work with businesses and local organizations about how to best support those living with dementia and cognitive changes when they come into their businesses.
It takes a lot to impress me, but you impress me in the sense that you have a job, and I'm sure you do it very well, but that's not enough for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of people I like to hang out with, who want to take the extra step to make a difference in life instead of doing just what their job duties entail. I'm assuming some of these job duties, like you talked about, I'm assuming when you talk about dementia friendly Newtown, it's more like it's to make a that's not part of your job description at Pennswood Village, I assume. You know, that's when you were hired, that's not within the CCRC job description. But you take the extra step, and that's a big deal because most people do not do that. And people need that navigation. They need the advocacy. That's why I was excited to interview you today, because you are the who's who of elder care advocacy in the Philadelphia area, and it's a pleasure having you because of that. So I commend you for all you do, and you also and if that's not enough, you also helped found a charity that really does benefit many people in the community, especially today. And that charity is known as Hands Holding Hearts. And you're the president and founder of this nonprofit. Am I correct?
Correct. Yep.
And when did you found the charity?
Sure. So it kind of dates back to 2013. I was working at a hospice, and we ran a bereavement camp for kids for 20 some years. New management came into the organization, and they said, I don't think we're going to continue this camp. If you're only helping 8 children, I don't think that that's a good use of our money and your time. And I said, I think if you ask those 8 children who are grieving, they might say something different. So I was able to find funding for the next year from the community, and we held the camp one more year. The next year, management said, we're not holding the camp. So I took a week's vacation and I rented space at my church, and I pulled over some volunteers and we had a bereavement camp. So that was in 2013. And we did some workshops. We supported local schools until a friend of mine who's a lawyer said, stop doing that. If somebody chokes on a lollipop at your camp, you're going to lose your house. You have to become incorporated. You have to become a business. You have to have insurance. So we started getting more serious and more business minded, rather than just we're here to help the community, to be known as a professional organization. So in 2015, we became incorporated, and then it took us another year or so to become a 501c3. So that happened in the end of 2016.
So it's related, the Hands Holding Hearts, the 501c3 charity, it benefits those who are going through some form of bereavement, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
What, I always find it fascinating to find out, why did you see that? What was the need? And, there's lots of ways to address bereavement. And, there was obviously hospice companies, which you were a part of, have their own bereavement counselor on staff typically. So what in the area, what did you see what need related to bereavement wasn't being met that you thought this charity could help individuals benefit from?
So it's a personal story. My cousin had a son that died as an infant, and he had two other children. And he came to me, knew I worked in hospice. I was a social worker, and he said, Amy, can you find support for my two children? So I said, sure, let me look around, see what I can find. And I came back to him and I said, well, I found you something in Philadelphia, North Philly. I found you something in Jersey, or you can go to Montgomery County. He said, but we live in Bucks County, and we have baseball practice, we have CCD class, we have dance. We can't fit that a 45-minute commute into the getting help. So I decided I had the skill set and there was a need, and I put word out there, are people grieving? Do you need support? And do you want it by your community, in your community? And that's how people slowly have been finding their way to us, because there is nobody in Bucks County that says we handle grief and loss. We can sit with you and be with you in your grief, and do it in your community.
Yeah, the population served by Hands Holding Hearts, it's more than children, right? You talked about a camp for children. Mm-hmm. That's how it started, and then that more started out in the church and then expanded from there. Mm-hmm. But you serve all ages.
We do.
Am I correct?
Yep, you're right. So initially my focus was on children, and again, it was kind of a personal reason. But then we started seeing children. We realized that these children are being raised by their grandparents because maybe the parents had died, or maybe the parents were struggling. The kids were actually coping okay with the loss, but it was the parents who were really struggling. So we realized that in order to take care of the kids and have healthy kids, we had to take care of the family. And so we expanded our services from just children ages 6 to 12 to now we have different therapists that see different populations. I tend to see the adults and older adults. We have another therapist that deals with the younger kids, and we have another therapist who does art therapy. So we realized that we needed to expand our services. If we were truly going to help kids, we had to help the whole family.
And so what type of services do you provide now? And can you just touch upon a bit how you've had to revise your services related to COVID-19, and maybe what over the past 7, 8 months, especially with the initial 2 or 3 months of COVID back in March, April into May, could you talk about the services that your charity provided?
Sure. So, we were doing individual counseling, and obviously we weren't permitted to do that in person. So we had to switch to a virtual program. And we were doing that up until about maybe 2 months ago. And then we've been hearing from our clients that we serve is We want to see you in person. We miss human contact. Even if you can't hug us or hold our hand, we miss seeing you not on the screen. So we went from fully virtual to, with the client's permission, meeting at Washington Crossing Park over in a quiet area, or meeting in the yard of our office, or sitting outside in the office. So we've had to kind of adjust how we do therapy, but we've never stopped. We've provided it through phone, through Zoom, or outdoors. So even our bereavement camp, that's kind of our biggest event. And we didn't want to cancel it because we knew that the need was there. We knew that the kids still needed to learn some techniques of how to cope with loss. So again, we switched it from in-person to virtual, and we created camp kits. And I had, these bags lined up outside of my front door of my house, and the parents came and they grabbed their camp kit, and then each night we would pull something out of the camp kit and do a different therapeutic activity with it. So we never stopped doing the services, we just had to do them differently.
Sounds like, and you have a full-time job at Pennswood Village, I
Yes.
assume.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like being the executive director of Hands Holding Hearts, from what I'm inferring, could be a full-time job as well. So how
Absolutely.
is it possible to juggle those dual responsibilities and help multiple populations, especially over the past 8-9 months with COVID and the bereavement issues involved? How do you do it?
Good question. Because I have a family. I have 2 kids, and I have a father with dementia, living out of state. And so it is a lot to manage. But I try to find fun. I try to find joy. Here at Pennswood, we've done a lot of fun things. We just had a fall festival where we had all the staff members have scare spots, and we had a hayless hayride. And we drove the residents around, and then the staff were dressed up, and we scared residents. I'm working on a virtual pizza making program here at Pennswood. With the bereavement, with Hands Holding Hearts, we did a workshop online of how to make a screen box. So it's doing things that selfishly are kind of fun for me too, to recharge my battery, because if my battery's not charged, I'm not going to be good to anybody. So the other thing is, every morning I get up and the alarm goes off and I really want to hit snooze or just turn it off, but I get up and I work out, or I take a walk, or I do something just for me, because if I don't start the day by taking care of me, I'm not going to be able to help anybody throughout the rest of the day.
Great philosophy to have, no doubt. Absolutely. What's the future of Hands Holding Hearts? Where do you see the future being? Where do you want to be, say, 5 years from now?
Yeah, I'd love us to have a home that's dedicated. The home that we're in, we share with other therapists, and it's wonderful. It's right in Newtown. It's a beautiful building. But I would love us to have a home. So, maybe one night a week, we have a little garden outside, and we, have herbs, and we have a cooking class, because food is love, and maybe we have the kids and the families come and we cook together, and then maybe another night we have our movement therapist do some kind of movement, or we have our yoga person do a yoga group. I love us to have a home where we don't have to clean up afterwards, so that we make it okay for the next therapist or the next group to kind of take over. And I would love to have dedicated staff, that say, this is all we do. I carry 2 phones with me all the time. They sit beside me at bedtime. When I go on vacation, I take 2 phones. It would be nice to have a day off, and I haven't had that. So it would be nice to have dedicated staff that could be there and be fully charged and ready to go, and have that be their sole focus.
Absolutely, yes. We all need a day off, and yes, we can't work 24/7. That's not going to benefit anyone, as you already stated. And is there a cost to the participants, or
Yes.
there is? Okay.
So and as a social worker, that felt really uncomfortable to me. until I, talked again to our lawyer and talked to the board. And they said, we're providing a service. Even though you're a nonprofit, you're allowed to charge so that you have people that can provide the services. Because initially, we were doing the therapy for free. We were doing the camp for free, the groups for free. And I was losing therapists because they said, I have a family too, and I can't give up time with my family and not get compensated time after time after time.
Sure,
I've been
sure.
doing it for 7 years, so to me, it didn't really matter. But we recently got a grant from Foundation Community Partnership, and it was a large, for us, it was a large grant. It was over $8,000. And so we used that funds to buy the craft supplies. And there are several families that we serve that can't pay the individual rate. So we use the grant for that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And do you do clinical counseling, and therefore are you able to bill the insurances?
So we don't have a biller, which would again be kind of a goal within the next 5 years, is to have someone do billing. But if we had someone dedicated just to do that, I do have an MPI number. I was credentialed with all the insurances, but since that's not my full-time job right now, I've kind of
Yeah, sure. So that full-time job's just handling the billing paperwork. I understand. I understand. So why before we end, can you give out the contact information for Hands Holding Hearts? How do people get, if they know someone or themselves going through, unfortunately, some form of bereavement where they believe that your organization can help someone? How do they get in touch with you?
Sure. So our email is contact@handsholdinghearts.org, or our phone number is 445, and then it's HHH, which is Hands Holding Hearts, which is also 444. So 445-444-5374. It's a lot of fours. We're also on Facebook, we're on Instagram and Twitter.
That's Hands Holding Hearts. You can so they're easy to find online. If I found them, anyone can find them. So Amy, thank you so much for your time. I'm so impressed with all you're doing and the dedication. Yes, I do not know how you sleep, and but besides 2 full-time gigs, pretty much, you have a family to take care of as well, plus some time for yourself, as you indicated. So keep up the great work. Thank you for all you do. I'm sure there's many, many people and families that benefit from your services. So thanks again, and we look forward to continue working with you, and keep up the great work.
Thanks.
You're welcome.